No, seriously, there's something different about ThamePo. Compared to other GMMTV series, it almost doesn't even feel like a GMMTV BL. Not saying that's a good or bad thing, but there's definitely something that makes it stand out. Maybe it's the way it's shot, maybe it's the acting, especially considering most of the cast aren't even actors. Or maybe it's the chemistry, the rawness, and the unspoken tension in every single glance. Whatever it is, everyone is eating it up. And that's not just hype. I've seen so many people say that they had moved on from BLs, or they weren't really into GMMTV series anymore, and then ThamePo happened. And suddenly, they're back, watching, obsessing, counting down to Fridays like their life depends on it. And today, we're talking about why exactly ThamePo has taken over our lives. Hey, I'm Blush. I cover a lot in the BL world, from new shows, actor pairings, piping hot tea, and especially what GMMTV gets up to. So if you're into that, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you know when I upload. I use NordVPN, the most popular VPN in the world. You can virtually change your location to access geo-restricted content, so no more of this. Thailand, Japan, South Korea, no problem. The deal is linked below. Okay, so we already know William and Est was one of GMMTV's best moves in 2024, and there's quite a bit of a story about how this show was in the works for 5 years, shelved, and then finally resumed production once William was discovered. I actually have a whole video covering William and Est's journey before they even met and how they finally ended up working together. So check that out if you want the full story. But just knowing that history now and the waiting we didn't even know we were doing is another part of what makes ThamePo feel so special. It wasn't just another GMMTV project thrown together overnight. It was a story that had time to breathe, to find the right actors, and when it finally came to life, it was magic. Now, here's the most ironic part. GMMTV might actually be calling itself out, and basically any other company that's in the industry of BLs, idols, actors. Alright, and it's time for the spoiler alert. This will be talking about anything from episode 1 until episode 10 of ThamePo, so if you're not caught up, be warned. There's a scene where Thame is talking to the CEO of Warner, and he goes to confront her about leaking Pepper and Gam's photos, and she straight up tells him, the industry isn't about who's right or wrong, it's about who can sell more and who the market demands. And if that doesn't sound like a brutally honest take on the entertainment industry, I don't know what does. She even says that as long as Thame is profitable, they'll throw anyone under the bus to protect him. And the craziest part, this isn't even some fictional, exaggerated drama moment. It's real. The fact that GMMTV is the one producing this show makes it hit even harder, because let's be real, like this comment says, the call is coming from inside the house. So was this intentional, a quiet self-call out, or just a case of if the shoe fits? Either way, ThamePo isn't afraid to get real about the industry. Let's get into more industry realities that were portrayed in ThamePo. Imagine writing a song, pouring your heart into it, only to be told it's not good enough, so it gets shelved. Then later, you hear the exact same song, but now it's being performed by somebody else? That's exactly what happened to Mars. The company told them that the song wasn't strong enough, making them believe their work didn't meet the standard, only to turn around and give it to another artist. And this isn't even just drama for the plot. It's something that happens all the time in the entertainment industry. Companies have the final say, and no matter how much passion an artist puts into their music, if they don't fit the image the company wants to sell, their work can be tossed aside in an instant.
Do you know what's crazy? In my whole time in this industry, in my whole time as a writer, as a producer, as an artist, I have never, ever, ever once, ever felt like giving up until 2 days ago. I felt like maybe I should just quit this and be a writer. Then I won't have to feel this anymore. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. And I've had enough. I've absolutely reached my limit. And I'm just praying, they either listen to me now, listen to their artist in pain, and they give me the budget for my album and they take my art seriously, or we part ways.
It's a brutal reminder that in this industry, talent alone isn't enough. Marketability, timing, and the company decisions can override an artist's personal journey, no matter how much they've worked for it. If there's one thing the entertainment industry hates, it's idols in relationships. But in ThamePo, we see just how far companies will go to control the narrative. When Pepper gets caught dating, it looks like the media just happened to get their hands on those photos. But here's the truth, the company traded scandals. The press actually had photos of Thame and Po together, but Thame is too too valuable to be taken down. So what does the CEO do? She buys the scandal. Literally. She offers up another idol's dating scandal to bury Thames. And this isn't just fiction. In the real world, not all idols are treated equally. Your career can be destroyed over dating. But if you're profitable enough, the company will do anything to protect you, even if it means sacrificing somebody else. And the worst part, Pepper isn't even more guilty than Tame. He's just less profitable. His career, his image, his personal life, it's all just collateral damage to protect someone bigger. And here's where ThamePo delivers one of the most chillingly accurate moments. When Pepper faces the press, what do we see? Fans cheering because he's broken up with his partner. This moment really hit a nerve with viewers, not because they're mad at the show, but because it reminded them of how real this actually is. Fans who claim to love and support their idols turn on them in an instant if they dare to date. And worse, some fans will celebrate like it's a win when their bias is finally single again. For ThamePo, making the viewers feel an emotion so strong, even if it's rage, is usually a sign of a powerful message. Another ironic part of the latest episode, and something GMMTV definitely didn't plan, is the real-life history between Jung and Est. Normally I'd say this is the actor's business, why create unnecessary drama from nothing, but when things are happening publicly online, including stories being uploaded on official artist profile, and no interactions at events between two who are known to be friends, it's hard for fans not to notice. Let's get to the point. These three, Jung, Est, and Dao, are known to be besties. Then, out of nowhere back in October, Jung and Est unfollowed each other. But it wasn't just a mutual unfollow, it looked more like a one-sided block, which automatically removes the person from your followers list too. On top of that, Est privated TikToks they had together, and they completely stopped interacting online. That's all we know, but something clearly happened. Dao also posted a story with Olivia Rodrigo's Traitor playing as the song, and then Jung and Dao both posted these. Here's the translation. Now, I'll be honest, fans are known for taking things and blowing them out of proportion, but this time it felt like most people were just laughing at this bickering moment, knowing they'd probably make up soon, or that Dao would force them to. Either way, I was glad to see that most of the comments about this were lighthearted, even though there does seem to be some minor tension. But here's where things get interesting. In the entertainment industry, business always comes first. No matter what's happening behind the scenes, friendships breaking down, or personal conflicts, when the cameras turn on, the show must go on. And ThamePo just gave us a mild real-world example of that in action. And yes, once again, fans couldn't help but notice ThamePo wrapped filming in December, so assuming they shot in somewhat chronological order, this scene would have happened after the October fallout. Of all shows, this situation had to happen in the one that's constantly talking about the behind the scenes of the entertainment industry. As if this show couldn't get any more ironic, after all the buildup, all the tension, Tame and Po finally have that moment. The big makeout scene, the shirts coming off, and it's intense, emotional, and honestly, pretty much expected for a BL like this. But then, controversy hit. Some fans pointed out that at the time of airing, William was only 19 while Est was 23. In Thailand, legal adulthood is 20, but the age of consent is much lower, so technically there was nothing illegal about this scene. Still, thanks to a wave of fan discourse, GMMTV suddenly pulled all those scenes from their social media. And here's where the irony kicks in. ThamePo is literally a show about the entertainment industry controlling narratives, bending to the public pressure, and deciding what's acceptable based on market perception. And yet, the exact thing happened in real life, with GMMTV scrambling to erase the scene from their platforms. It wasn't about legality, it was about image control. Because the reality is, companies fold the second fan outrage gets loud enough. The other side of the fandom found out, and in no time, #WilliamS4AllFans was trending. Fans demanded GMMTV repost or unprivate the deleted scenes, arguing that it disrespected all the hard work of the actors. Now, let me throw in my 2 cents here. I don't think GMMTV was trying to sabotage William or Est or ThamePo, because if the show wins, GMMTV also wins. They likely pulled the post as a temporary damage control move before realizing the backlash was fueled more by misinformation and overreactions than an actual legal or ethical issue. Let's be real, William and Est's age gap was definitely something GMMTV discussed when forming this pairing. They probably thought long and hard about how fans would react, even if the actors themselves were fine about it. In fact, in the ThamePo intro video, Est even mentioned that at first he couldn't quite picture himself working with William, but once they started, it all worked out. So when backlash started, the company panicked. Maybe they second-guessed themselves. Maybe they thought, did we miss something? And instead of standing firm, they reacted first and assessed later, which is exactly what entertainment companies do when dealing with public image crises. But the problem? Now they had 2 controversies instead of 1. BL fans were mad at GMMTV for caving in. To them, it felt like the company was throwing William and Est under the bus, like they didn't support their own actors. Some fans even saw it as GMMTV indirectly admitting the scene was wrong, when it wasn't. So now, instead of avoiding controversy, GMMTV ended up with twice the drama. And once again, ThamePo didn't just tell us about industry politics, politics, it accidentally lived them too. One of the best things ThamePo did was actually take time to introduce us to each member of Mars, instead of just treating them like the side characters. The first few episodes gave us real backstories, real struggles, and real reasons to care about them. When ThamePo set out to reunite the group, it wasn't just, hey, let's get the group back together. Each member had their own reason for walking away, and we had to see them work through it. First, they had to win over June, then Dylan, then finally Nano. Each of them had their own hesitations, own struggles, and their own realistic reasons for not wanting to come back. Then there's Pepper, the only one who didn't need convincing, but that's because he was already planning on leaving anyway, which made sense when we finally got his story, and it just made everything hit harder. This level of character depth is what makes ThamePo different from a lot of BLs. Mars isn't just a backdrop. These guys feel like actual people with individual motivations, fears, and goals. Now, can we take a minute for their acting? Because let's be real, the bar was low. Not because we expected them to be bad, but because it was understandable if they didn't completely deliver. They're idols, not actors, so if their performances felt a little stiff or awkward, no one would have blamed them. But honestly, you wouldn't even be able to tell. Every single one of them held their own. But special shout out to Nut, who plays June, because his acting was honestly better than some actors who've been in the industry for years. The emotions, the delivery, he didn't just keep up with seasoned actors, he actually stood out. This was such a nice surprise, and it made the whole group's dynamic feel even more real. One thing about ThamePo, every single frame looks stunning. You could pause anywhere in the show, and it would still look like a perfectly composed shot. But what makes it even better is the tone it creates. It has this dreamy, polished feel, almost like a movie, but without that oversaturated, fluffy BL aesthetic that usually comes with the lighthearted comedic storylines. Instead, ThamePo finds the perfect balance. The cinematography makes everything feel magical, but in a way that still feels grounded and emotionally real. The multiple angles, the cinematic panning, and the way the camera lingers just long enough to pull you into the moment, it all makes ThamePo feel bigger than just a show. It completely immerses you in their world. This isn't just another BL drama, it's a visual experience. Normally by episode 10, I'm checked out. I drop BL series all the time before the dreaded episode 11 drama even hits, but here I am, fully locked in, waiting to see what's about to go down. And that's the thing about ThamePo. It's the kind of show that keeps pulling you back in. Whether it's the acting, the chemistry, the cinematography, or the brutal industry commentary, there's always something keeping you hooked. It's messy, it's emotional, and sometimes it's too real for comfort, but that's exactly why we can't stop watching. So now the only question is, what's next? Because if ThamePo has taught us anything, it's that things are only going to get more intense from here. What are your predictions? Do you think Pepper and Gam will get back together? Do you think ThamePo will have that dreaded breakup conversation? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.